Hello and welcome to College Admissions with Mark and Anna. Each week we talk about different college admissions topics and answer those tough questions you may be dealing with concerning getting into the college of your choice. We know how stressful this process can be, so each episode we try to make it easier to navigate. Now, here are your hosts, Anna Wren and Mark Hofer.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the College Admissions Podcast with your hosts, Anna Wren and Mark Hofer. We're really excited to have 4 awesome guests with us. We have 4 students that have just finished their freshman year in college. So first we have Sarah. Sarah is a rising sophomore at Princeton University, majoring in financial engineering with a concentration in Hellenic studies. She is originally from Edison, New Jersey, and loves to play basketball, photograph sunsets, and drink iced Americanos. Welcome, Sarah. And we also have Drew. Drew is a rising sophomore at Georgetown University, majoring in finance and economics. He is from Bridgewater, New Jersey, and enjoys sci-fi and action movies, basketball, and playing piano. He also loves trying new foods. Welcome, Drew.
Thank you.
And we've got West Coast represented. Alana is a rising sophomore at Duke, majoring in public policy and minoring in education and psychology because everybody should have at least 2 minors. She is originally from Los Angeles and plans to go to law school after college. She loves Duke, reading, and rewatching the same shows over and over. We also have Kevin. Kevin's a rising sophomore at the University of Washington. Go Dogs. Majoring in economics and applied math. He's from Seattle and enjoys skiing, golfing, and traveling. He's also a huge UW football fan and really hopes they are good again this year. Welcome, Kevin. Welcome, Alana.
Thank you.
So let's just dive in, Mark.
Yeah, one of the things that I think we take for granted is that college is the same year after year and students experience the same things year after year. And I don't think that is true. And I send out a note to my freshman and sophomore college students each year just to check in and try to find out what it's like for them to be on a campus and what's college life is like. And I think that check-in's as much for me when I talk to new students as it is for them. And one of the things that we've had some major upheavals in just the last couple of years with COVID and with all kinds of things that affect the social dynamic that happens on campuses. And I thought it would be a great chance to check in with students who are going to school right now in 2024 and what it's like to be a freshman. So I think we came up with a whole bunch of questions and we're going to kind of get an idea of what it was like for them in this last year being a college freshman, a rising sophomore, I should say. But hopefully we'll find some tidbits that the audience will, and especially seniors and parents will find interesting for what it's like to be a college student today.
Absolutely. So I think, first of all, if you guys don't mind taking a second to tell us a little bit about how you chose your college, and if you feel like you've made the right choice, that would be a great way to get started. Alana, do you want to share first?
Yeah, sure. I was really particular when I picked my high school specifically. I really wanted a school that gave off like almost the Friday Night Lights energy, and having COVID kind of go in the middle of that really interrupted the experience that I was looking forward to having. So when I was thinking about going to college, I really wanted a mid-sized school between like 5,000 and 20,000 students, which I know is a very broad range, but that's kind of the range that I had narrowed it down to based on all the schools that I toured. And Duke specifically was just it clicked with me the second I was on campus. We went on a tour and the tour guide that I had was amazing. She made me feel like I was already attending the school, and the level of school spirit that Duke has, I feel like was unlike any other school that I had toured. And that was a really important characteristic for me, along with the intense academics that were really amazing and super engaging, as well as like the really amazing food that we have on campus. But I think that really impacted me wanting to go to a school that was just really energetic and like mid-sized. I wanted bigger than my high school, but I could not be happier where I am. I feel like Duke was the exact place where I needed to go, and I'm having an amazing time thus far. So hopefully it continues to trend upwards.
Awesome. How about you, Sarah?
Yeah, I mean, in relation to college fit,
I knew for me personally, I wanted something close to home, and I'm from the New Jersey area, so I narrowed it down to a couple good schools in the area. And Princeton for me, I would say, definitely looking back, has been one of the greatest decisions of my life. And I say this to a lot of people, but it doesn't come down to the name of the university. It's not about that at all. I think what I love most about it is the people. It really does feel like a home away from home. The people here are so amazingly talented. They're kind. It's very easy to find your own community, your own niche, and it's great overall. And even just looking at the professors, they're such incredible sources of inspiration for all the students as well. They're incredibly talented in their fields and just amazing overall. So same thing as Alana, looking back, I think it was definitely the greatest decision, and I'm happy to be here today. So thanks for having me.
Very good. So I'm one of the things that we are constantly playing with on our podcast is food. And Alana, I'm glad you brought that up, but we'll get back to that. What's your favorite part about being a college student? I know that, and like you said, Alana, you went through COVID as a high school student, and now you have this chance to go to college. So Drew, I'm going to ask you first. What's your favorite part about being a college student?
Absolutely. So for me, I'd say it's just the opportunity to kind of like live on my own and get that experience of kind of leaving home and everything that I've gotten kind of comfortable with and known for my whole life, and experiencing new things, like living on my own, like eating food on my own, finding new friends, and getting into a new routine that's not so specific to what I used to do with school every day and at home. So I think just having the opportunity to kind of experiencing all those things and figuring out what exactly works for me has been really awesome.
So conversely, what's one of the things that you don't like that you've now had to engage with as a college student?
That's a good question. I'd say, I think the idea of having to put yourself out there every time, because I feel like people kind of advise you to always be someone that is super outgoing, and otherwise you're not going to be able to make friends. And I think the advice that people gives kind of misleads you. And I think it's important to kind of take things at your own pace and be able to go through the entire college process in a way that's more unique to you, and to not be like confined by the way that everyone tells you it's supposed to go, and instead kind of find your own path.
That's a fantastic piece of information, I think, for a lot of students to hear.
Yes, I love that. And just as food is important, sleep is also important. So obviously, I think a lot of students we work with are night owls, but have you guys had to learn or modify your association with sleep? And maybe Kevin, you can offer some advice or ideas on this part.
Yeah, I actually find that I'm sleeping more in college than I was in high school. Like, I'm consistently getting 8 or 9 hours, while in high school it was more like 7 to 8. And I think that's because like class schedules are more flexible than like the rigid high school schedules, which at least for me started at 8:30 every day. So I would have to wake up like 7:30 or even earlier sometimes. But with the more flexible schedules, I'm able to like actually get more sleep because I can wake up closer to when class starts. And living on campus just allows, since the buildings are so close to where I'm sleeping, it's just more accessible and easier.
That's awesome. Has anyone had to sleep less, or have all of you guys been able to sleep a bit more?
I mean, in high school, I was very much a person who was like, okay, if I don't know it by 10 p.m., I'm not going to know this information, and I just go to sleep. I found that in college, I am sleeping less, but honestly, I was sleeping more than I needed to before. So it's definitely like I'm now sleeping a healthy amount rather than an excessive amount. I'm like, I'll go to bed at like midnight, but that's like not because I'm up doing work. It's because I'm either like with a friend hanging out, or I have studied until 10 and then I'm like showering or something like that. So it's not because of how intense the schoolwork is. It's just because my life has adjusted, basically.
Very good. So we might as well dive into the food thing, because
that's your favorite, Mark.
You know it. And I'm not going to ask about gelato, and I'm not going to ask about grilled cheese sandwiches, but I do want to know about food habits. And that's one of those things I think that as students get to college and kind of like you said, Kevin, I mean, there are some of the scheduling things are in your power and they're different but everybody has their different association with food. Have you found that, let's see, Sarah, I'll pick on you first. So have you found any changes in your eating habits, either, when and where, and how have you dealt with accessibility to food?
Yeah, it's a great question, Mark. First, I'll start with the accessibility in terms of accommodations. I'm pretty sure all college campuses do a really, really amazing job of catering to all different meal plates, including vegetarian, vegan, kosher, halal, etc. So it's been great on that front. I will say that I have been eating a lot more healthier now because junk food costs me my own money. So I'm reluctant. But I can get healthy food in the dining hall with my swipes. And so I have noticed a healthier eating trend than the overall. But sometimes the food does need a little bit of spice. So I'm not afraid to drop on the sriracha sauce when needed on the grilled chicken. But it's been great overall.
Very good. Alana, how about you? How about there at Duke? I know Duke has great food.
Yeah. So Duke overall, I would say, has really great food. It's a little misleading because when you do apply to Duke, the way that they advertise the meals are, we have this main campus. So Duke is broken up into two campuses. There's an East campus, which is all freshmen, and then a West campus. West campus has the main dining hall called the Broadhead Center, or WU. And that is like insane food. We have like 15 different kitchens within, and it's like made to order omelets, crepes, Indian food, like anything you could think of. We have a sports bar in the basement. We have a Panera. So it's kind of crazy and a little overwhelming. But as a freshman, you're encouraged to eat on the freshman campus for 2 meals a day at what they call Marketplace. And Marketplace is buffet style, and they have like different things you can get, but it's heavily it's not as good as WU, I will say. And it's very misleading because you go into Duke thinking, okay, great, I'm going to get this amazing meal plan with all these different options. And then you're kind of stuck because the freshman meal plan is you get 2 swipes, which are only usable at Marketplace. And that's all you can eat. But then you get $900 for the entire semester to use at WU. And WU is on basically you're using money to buy the food. It's like a meal is $15. And so you can imagine that doesn't last very long. So freshmen tend to run out of food points by October. At least I ran out of food points in October because I just couldn't eat at Marketplace. But a lot of people really love the all you can eat. And I know a lot of sophomores asking me to can you use your guest swipe to get me into Marketplace? I miss the brunch and things like that. So I probably have a little bit more of a pessimistic outlook on Marketplace, but I love the food on West, and I wasted all my food points on West, and we'll be getting a very large food pen this coming fall.
It's common that students find out that food is expensive. I love, Sarah, your comment that junk food fell by the wayside because, you have to pay for it. So it's not on your meal plan. That's awesome. And I have to ask, and this is going to be a sexist question for Drew and Kevin, but yeah. Do you find yourself not getting enough food? Kevin, you can go first.
Yeah, absolutely. UW's really skimping on the portion sizes, in my opinion. And then also, since it's not like swipes and all you can eat, we're actually spending money because we load up a certain amount of money at the start of each quarter, and then we only have that much money. I don't think I know a single person that hasn't run out of money before, and that just shows they're just not giving us the right portions. And in my personal opinion, the food got pretty old within the first 2 months, in my opinion. So I'm very happy to not have to eat dining hall food next year.
Very good. How about you, Drew?
For me, it's actually been kind of different. At Georgetown, they have, for the freshman year, they make it mandatory to get unlimited swipes at kind of the main dining hall.
Oh,
so quantity wise, you really don't go out, I think, of swipes because you can do it as many times as you want. You go get food whenever, as long as obviously it's open. But quality wise, could be better. To be honest,
that hasn't changed, I say.
Yeah. But yeah, quantity wise, I haven't been getting enough. If I do want some, yeah.
Very good.
It sounds like none of you guys have had to learn how to cook. I had to do that at Georgetown. It wasn't I had unlimited, but the food was so bad. I was like, I'm not eating this. So have you guys picked up any cooking skills since you guys started? Or do you guys have kitchens as freshmen?
Nah, no kitchen yet. So haven't had to cook yet.
Okay.
Wow.
So
no
mac and cheese.
I mean, UW has some like communal kitchens, and I've cooked like maybe once a month, but it's kind of an ordeal to like haul everything to the communal kitchens and then like clean everything and then haul it all back.
Good point. Good point.
So along with food is exercise. Do you guys, like freshman 15 was so real back when I was in college, but how have you guys found in terms of, have you guys found time to exercise, or what advice would you give rising freshmen about how to find time to exercise if it's needed? Maybe start with you, Sarah.
Yeah, of course. I'd say on Princeton's campus, it's a little bit different, mostly because we're not allowed to have cars. And so because everyone's walking everywhere, you get a minimum of 10,000 steps a day, but it's more like 15,000, 20,000, depending on how far and how many places you're going that day. But I will say on the weekends, I do get a whole lot of time to do exercise. The gym offers a lot of great programs like fitness combat exercises, group cycling classes. They're really, really fun. And it makes going to the gym a fun thing. I know back in the day when I was in high school, all my friends would be like, hey, ready to go to the gym? I'd be like reluctantly dragging myself over, and it wouldn't be the greatest, but I'd have to say in college, it's actually a lot more fun to go to the gym. And you do get time and stuff, but beyond the regular commute to your classes, you do get a healthy amount of physical exercise. And I don't really think freshman 15 is too big of a problem on our campus because you have to walk everywhere for the most part.
That's awesome.
You know, Sarah, you brought up something. I think this should be a metric that schools should publish: the average number of steps that a student, takes at their school. And I think that would vary from school to school. And it would be interesting to see what the culture of the school promotes and what students actually find themselves getting. But yeah, if you're getting 15,000 steps, that's awesome.
Great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was actually a little bit misleading because the tour guides are usually juniors and seniors. And so upperclassmen are allowed to have cars on campus. So when they would talk about their experiences, they talk about driving a car to class, or a car to the local Wawa. And then you show up to campus as a freshman or a sophomore and you're like, oh, well, I actually don't get a parking space and I'm forced to walk everywhere. So they should definitely make that more clear on their website. But for all those listening to this podcast right now, I guess you guys get a little into the workings of our campus.
Yeah. So we talked about food and we talked about, meal plans, and we've talked about exercise. There is also the 800-pound gorilla about spending. And I get to hear from, freshmen who are returning and hear from parents about things that have snuck up on them that they weren't expecting that would be an expense at school. So, Sarah, is there a particular expense that you'd either found you weren't expecting or that you've run onto once you got on campus?
Definitely 100% coffee. I wasn't big of a coffee person back in high school, believe it or not. But the second I came to college and the late night studyings, I definitely needed a lot more. And so on our campus, you can spend meal points at the local cafe. And so every morning I'd go. Sometimes I'd get coffee 3 times a day. And it was totally fine until second semester came along. And I realized that I was out of points within 2 weeks. Now, mind you, they give you 150 points, and these meal points are for the entire semester. So for the entirety of the 3-4 months, however long I was there. And I'd used all of them up in 2 weeks on coffee. So now I know, definitely on my list of stuff to change for next year is to cut back the spending on coffee.
Coffee budget.
Yeah, I'm trying to buy like packs and stuff from home to my dorm. And then having an electric kettle and seeing if I can make my own coffee, because it does become a big expense. I know for me and also a lot of my friends as well. And the cafes like to scam you when it's like a $2 cup of coffee. They'll charge you $5.59. It's kind of cool. But yes, definitely, if you are a big coffee lover, think about perhaps bringing your own to your dorm, because it does get expensive and it racks up over time.
Very good. Kevin, how about you? Spending wise, have you run into any 800-pound gorilla you weren't expecting?
Honestly, no. It hasn't really been too bad. I guess eating out because dorm food has been so terrible, but it really hasn't been too bad.
All right.
That's great. So one more thing, I think the last big thing, I think that's a big shift for kind of real life transitions in college is laundry, I would imagine. So I guess, Alana, do you want to share a little bit about like what doing laundry has been like? Had you done it before in high school, or was there any like funny stories that happened along the way?
Yeah. So I had never done laundry in my life going into college. And my mom, when we dropped me off at college, was kind of like, okay, here are your Tide Pods. Have at it. And so I must have had like 50 mishaps in the first like 2 months. The first thing I remember having happened is Duke has one of these parties where you wear all white to the party. And obviously my like stuff got a little bit dirty. So I was trying to wash my white clothing, and my family like has never used bleach. So I like was not going to use bleach. So I used like a Tide Pod, and I pull all of my white, like crisp, brand new white clothing out of the washing machine, and it all has brown speckles on it. And I had no idea what it was. There was like red marks, and someone must have thrown a sock into the washing machine with my thing, because I do not know where that came from. I like was really meticulous about separating my whites and my darks, and I still managed to mess it up. And then another white mishap, I had a sweatshirt that had a blue deagle on the front, and I washed it inside out. Didn't realize it wasn't all white when I put it in with my whites, and it turned everything blue. Everything I had blue socks, I had blue face towels, I had blue t-shirts. It was really repping Duke for a while.
I was going to say, is it Duke blue? Yeah, exactly.
It was a Duke sweatshirt. So the front of it had like a Duke devil, and I didn't know that would bleed, but apparently it does. I'm really bad at laundry, but Duke is weird with the laundry system. They make you pay for it, or they did. Like for every laundry load you did, you had to pay $1.25 for any machine. And I was running like 3 machines at once. And then I was running 2 machines for the dryer. So it was really inconvenient. But they recently sent out an email from Duke Student Government saying that it's going to be free this coming year, which I think should be given. I think that should be given. I think it's absurd. But, moving forward steps, maybe I won't make any mistakes in this coming year.
Thank you for being honest, because I know there are a lot of especially students who are wondering, am I the only one not knowing how to do laundry so I appreciate you letting us know.
Mark and Anna, I've got a really funny story about laundry too. Do you mind if I jump in?
Yeah, absolutely.
So let me set the scene with this story. Me and my roommate were in our room. It was about 7 a.m. in the winter time. We were asleep, kind of getting out of bed. And we hear the fire alarm go off. And we didn't receive any communication the day before saying that there's going to be a fire drill. So we're like, oh my gosh, it's a real fire. We throw our jacket on and we go outside, and we see 4 fire trucks pull up, 3 ambulances pull up, and 2 police cars pull up. And we're like, that's it. We're done. Our residential college is burning down. We're not going to have a house. We're going to get kicked out of Princeton. It's over. Everyone's like running into the building. And we're like, oh my gosh, what happened? We're outside for 2, 3, 4 hours. Oh. And at the end, they put out like an announcement on the loudspeaker, and they're like, guys, hate to break it to you, but one of the laundry machines blew up. We're like, oh, what happened? And apparently one of the kids who was using the dryer forgot to take out his lint. And so this kid put his stuff into the dryer. When the dryer turned on, it heated up and the lint had caught on fire. And because it had caught on fire, the entire drying machine blew up in the laundry room. There was like flames everywhere. There were a couple students who barely got away. They were scratching at the stairs to climb out of the basement. They made it out alive. Thankfully, everyone was okay.
Oh my goodness.
Lesson to be learned. Please do not forget to take your lint out of the dryer. Because if you don't, then something like this could happen.
Jerry, you could have saved lives with your answer.
Yes, you really could.
That's a first for our podcast. You may have saved lives anyway. So one of the things that we have students, and I know Anna, anybody who does college consulting with students always tell us we have to live in a city or right next to a city, because, every weekend I'm going to be in there and I'm going to be experiencing all the things that a city has to actually offer. But I'm curious, and we'll ask each one of you, how many times, and we'll just say, how many times over the course of this last year would you say that you actually went into the city that's near you? And we'll start with Alana. Why don't you go ahead? And they're at Duke. How many times have you gone into the big city next to Duke?
Well, for those of you who don't know, Duke is in Durham, which is in northern North Carolina. There's nothing to do there. And the big city, I guess, would be what? Chapel Hill, where UNC is? Or, I don't know, like Charlotte? But only reason I ever went to Charlotte was to meet my parents who were flying in to go to Thanksgiving in South Carolina. So I went to Chapel Hill like 3 times. So no, I don't go to the city ever.
Have you missed going into the city? Do you feel like your life has been reduced?
Well, I mean, like being from Los Angeles, I'm used to a different kind of environment, I guess. Like downtown Durham is honestly, I'd describe it as weird. It's weird to me. It's a totally different lifestyle to be living in Durham than it to be in Los Angeles. So like going off of Duke's campus is kind of like weird. Unless you have a car, there's not really anything to do. So like the only reason I go off campus is for the parties, which I can talk about later with the Greek life, but not really.
Yep. Drew, how about you?
Yeah, because you actually live in a city.
Yeah. So we're pretty close to the city. It's maybe like a mile and a half out max. But we also have like a nice downtown area like right next to campus. And if you kind of go through that and past it, you can get to the city. So honestly, I feel like the city requires a little bit more planning if you want to go. So I'd say maybe like 5 or 6 times I've been to the city max. Maybe for a sports game or like a basketball game, or if you want to go out and eat or something like that. I've been a couple times, but I feel like it's just easier to kind of just stick to something that's a bit more walking oriented because like, you know, you can just get a couple of people, whoever's available, and you can just go walk, see what's happening downtown and just find something to do.
Right.
In my opinion, the city, you kind of have to maybe have something planned for it to be more of a viable option. So for me, not too much either.
Understood.
That's fair. So let's quickly shift to academics because obviously you went to college. So we should talk about the college aspect. So obviously you were all like relatively like awesome students in high school. How challenging have you found freshman year classes should be? And I guess maybe we can start with you, Kevin.
Yeah, I thought that the classes were going to be a little harder than they actually were. I mean, I did a little review with like the intro calc series. Like I just went through the entire series again, even though I took AP Calc, AB, and BC in high school. So maybe that plays a role into it. But I felt as like, since they were like considered weed out classes, everyone was saying like the classes were like so hard and it would be like really hard to pass them and you would need to spend a lot of time on them. But honestly, I think it was beneficial since I already like took those classes in high school because I didn't think it was too bad.
That's good. How about you, Sarah?
I'd say that a slightly different experience from Kevin. I found Princeton to be very, very rigorous. And even though I came from a relatively competitive high school, I think that our university kind of just takes it to another level because there's a lot of emphasis on the academics, on the research institution side of it. It's kind of like if you imagine a bunch of like, I mean, I wasn't a valedictorian, but if you were to imagine a bunch of valedictorians in one room, it's kind of like what the classes are. And I would say, especially because my major is also in the engineering school, it is a lot more STEM heavy and the curriculum is more fast paced. But I would say, unlike high school, it's really up to you how much of the stress, how much of the pressure you want to take. You're already in college right now, and unless you have plans of going to graduate school, your GPA doesn't really matter as much. And so you do have the flexibility to take classes that you're just interested in solely because you like the topic and not because it's a really rigorous class or you need the AP credits, etc. But I will say that attending office hours definitely does make a lot of the more rigorous classes manageable and then easier to handle. The TAs, professors are all super, super helpful. They have a lot of time on their schedule, and so it's very easy to just reach out, schedule a time to meet, and cover any of the material that you don't understand. So the classes are hard and short, but there is a lot of support available. So that's great.
Oh, Sarah, we're going to have to edit out your comment about GPA doesn't matter as much. We're going to have parents calling in and saying, have you lost your mind? You can't put that out there. But you mean you're trying to keep a healthy perspective and relationship with grades?
Exactly. That's what I meant to say. We'll edit that in.
Exactly. So one of the, I guess it's related to the same question is how has sleep, and Kevin, you said you're already getting, more sleep than you did in high school. Have you had to make any changes to your schedule, be that sleep or eating or study habits, directly related to the academic shift that you've had in college? Alana, how has it been there at Duke?
Wait, sorry, I zoned out. What was the end of that question?
Yeah. So you have had to make some choices with your time, especially for academics. And when you go to college, have you found yourself making any changes to your sleep patterns, to your eating patterns, or basically scheduling? What have you done to make your schedule work with academics, the higher rigor of academics?
Yeah. So like I said, I do find myself getting less sleep, but it's just because I want to be more social. I wasn't a super I had friends in high school and stuff like that. I wasn't like a pariah, but I do find that I have more friends who I want to spend more time with in college, which is a blessing. But it does mean that if I'm studying and I really need to lock in and get some work done, I can't study with friends, which a lot of people like to do at Duke, especially they'll study in common rooms or on the floors of the library that are a little louder that you're allowed to do collaboration with. But I find that my schedule has shifted a little bit in the way that I no longer eat breakfast. I used to eat breakfast pretty religiously. I was a big breakfast girl, but now I find that I don't really need it because, at least last year, I didn't take any classes before 10 a.m. So I wasn't awake before 9 earliest. So I was not feeling hungry until around lunchtime. But this coming year, I am taking an 8:30. So we will see how that affects my schedule again. But Duke allows you to Duke requires 4 courses per semester, and you can overload is what they call it. And you take 5, which I'm going to do this next semester. So I think that my schedule and my habits will have to change. But I think that I was pretty relaxed, actually. Duke is weird in the way that, I'm going to be candid, no one is in the library until 2 weeks before finals. That's when people start using the library. It's empty. Duke kids, it's insane. You're with some of the smartest people in the country and in the world. So they're just kind of coasting through the classes. If there's a midterm, you'll see some people in the library, but no one really locks in until about 2 weeks before finals. So it's weird having to adjust your schedule mid-semester and be okay, now I got to lock in. It's time to work hard. But that's the main adjustment I've had to make.
Very good. How about you, Drew? There at Georgetown, have you found yourself modifying your schedule? And if you tell me you're sleeping until 9 o'clock, we're going to have to edit all of this out because it's blowing preconceived ideas about, having to get up at 6 o'clock to start studying.
Yeah, I got one word for you: naps. Naps are so good because this might just be my experience, but when it came to scheduling classes, first as a freshman, you're kind of last in line because previous years go before you to get their classes, and then the freshmen go, and then they divided up by last name. So I was then even later in the group just because of the way they ordered it out. So my freedom with course selection was quite limited. So I didn't really get to make my schedule in the most ideal way possible. So sometimes I'd have not long, but not short breaks in between my classes during the day. So I'd have maybe 30, 45 minutes in between classes, or maybe even less sometimes. But it's not enough time to, do something or meet up with a friend for lunch, or we get a proper amount of work done, but also wasn't short enough where you can just hang out for a couple minutes and then go to your next class. So a lot of times I just end up napping in the middle of the day because there's nothing else to do. So I guess in that sense, it did kind of change that. So because I'd be napping during the day, I might not need as much sleep later in the night. So then I can go to sleep a bit later or wake up earlier, or whichever way it needs to go.
It's funny you mentioned that. My wife actually credits it's to, she can fall asleep in 10 seconds anywhere, pretty much. It is a gift I have never seen anybody doing. She credits, much to your point, Drew, is she said, she learned how to take a power nap on command because that's what she needed to do to get through college. And that's a great tip. I think naps for everybody.
Yes, yes. So quickly, we should also ask about how you guys have been building your networks and adjusting. So how did you guys find your friend group or tribes or family, as Mark so lovingly calls it? Perhaps we can start with you, Kevin.
Yeah, so being from Seattle and going to UW, I already had like a few of my really good friends going to UW with me. So I was kind of able to build like my friend group through them and like the people they met. And like eventually like we just all met each other's friends that we made the first few days. And we just tried to be like as social as possible and not like necessarily like stick with each other. So we're just the same friend group going through college. But we were able to also leverage our friend group by expanding it.
How have you found the best way to expand that group?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's just like, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but put yourself out there and just be as open-minded and social as possible. Yeah, I just like the first week, like before school starts, just try and meet as many people as possible. And like, you'll find that like some people you don't end up getting along with, but as long as you're just meeting new people, you'll find people that you do get along with and become good friends with.
Awesome. And so I guess also one quick question in terms of advice, like Sarah, do you have any advice that you would want to share for for those about to embark on college? Not necessarily to Princeton, but in general. Is there any advice you would share?
Yeah, definitely. I think this was a mistake that I made during my college applications. And I think a lot of kids go down the same path because that's kind of what we're told over and over again. One, it's to focus on the name of a university, its rank, quote unquote, or just how it's perceived in public opinion. I think that's one of the biggest mistakes you can make. And the reason why I say that is because it's very important to focus on your particular fit to a university. You could be at Harvard and still be unhappy. You could be at any college and be the happiest person in the world. It really comes down to, one, what do you have to offer the university and what does the university have to offer to you? And this could be related to academics. Perhaps there's a specific major that you're really, really interested in, that you 100% want to go down this career path, and this school is known for having an amazing school for that program. Great. That might be one of your best matches. Or it could be something about the social aspect. Perhaps you really want a huge party school. You want to be able to go out every night on the weekends, have a great time. Great, you have another selection of schools. Sometimes for some people, it's proximity to home. How close are you to your family, to your friends, to your loved ones? And for every single person, these factors have a degree of influence on how much you schedule to. And so it really comes down to pick whatever university you think is best for you and the place where you think you're going to be the most happy at. Don't pick something where you think, oh, like everyone's going here, so I have to go here. Oh, I'm going to make a lot of money if I go here. No, it never comes down to that. It only comes down to, am I going to be a happy person in this place? Sorry, that was a bit of a long-winded answer, but that's it in short.
No, I love it. I think the emphasis on happiness is so important, especially for rising seniors and also for seniors that had to make their decision. Or this year, a lot of schools have gone to their wait list. So some seniors are still making their decision, is to remember to prioritize that as a factor. So no, that's awesome.
So when students actually get to college, and hopefully they, like you say, Sarah, that they've taken the time to ask themselves the hard questions about why they're going and what they want to experience there. And hopefully they found a good college, but then you also run into, what classes to take and also which electives to take. And one of the things that I am always curious about, and it's just because I hear it so often, is a freshman who takes a class that's outside of their major, or in Alana's case, outside of your two minors. And they find the class so engaging that it changes their direction or their major or what they want to study. So has anybody found a class that they've taken that they loved and really were not expecting to love as much?
I mean, I applied to Duke as a public policy major, education minor. So I am on that track now, but I actually when I was starting to pick my classes, my advisor was like, oh, you're really good at math. You're interested in like finance, like take an econ class. And I took econ and I realized I did not want to do finance whatsoever. So it actually put me back onto my path, which is not like the typical Duke. Like Duke is a very heavy, like a lot of comp sci, a lot of econ. So I kind of went back to where I had originally thought I would want to be. And I took an education class, and it was the best class. Like the first Education 101 that I took was probably the best class I've taken at Duke so far. And it was amazing and totally something I found interesting. And it kind of reaffirmed the fact that I wanted to do the major and minor that I had sought out and applied to Duke for. It's very reaffirming if that happens. And also I took Psych 101 last semester and realized that I really enjoy psychology and find it super interesting. So I added that into as a minor, as Mark keeps alluding to. It is a heavy course load, but I'm optimistic. And I mean, why not take the classes that you actually like and do something that you find genuinely interesting rather than something like what Sarah said, something to make you the most money? Because everyone ends up successful in life. It's just the question of which things you find interesting to make you successful.
Oh, I love that. That was a great way of phrasing it.
Kevin, have you taken a class that was an unexpected pleasure?
Unfortunately, I haven't really taken like any classes outside of like my intended majors. I've just been kind of working on the prerequisites for those majors. However, I took econ for my first quarter, and contrary to how Alana felt, I like really enjoyed econ, and it kind of just confirmed that I did want to be an econ major. Because it just like clicked with me and I just really enjoyed it. And I was like, yeah, I think this is the right major for me.
That's awesome. And I guess, have you guys had any incredible experiences or any interesting classes that maybe you didn't expect to love, but did love? For example, maybe Dhruv, I know Georgetown requires philosophy and theology. Those are classes not typically offered in high school. Did they end up being good experiences for you?
Yeah. So we had to take philosophy, theology. I was taking ethics class one time. So, this actually wasn't an unexpected pleasure. It was kind of an expected one because I found this one called Cyborg Ethics. So it's kind of about the
what?
Cyborg Ethics.
Yeah. So it's kind of about the ethics of cyborgs and artificial limbs and those sort of things. But it's from the point of view of like movies and TV shows. So like honestly, half the time the homework would be like go watch this movie and then we'll talk about it next class. Nice. So I'd just be watching movies or homework, which is pretty awesome.
That sounds like an awesome class to be taking.
Yeah, it really was.
You can be encouraged to think in some of the most interesting ways, including movies. Yeah, that's really fun. Yeah. So along with those kind of things, and it's kind of a social, and it's a sleep, and it's food, and everything wrapped up into one, clubs are notorious for being it's kind of like the carrot that's held in front of a lot of students. It's how to meet people, how to get food, how to network, all of those things, and find people that are interested in similar things. Sarah, there at Princeton, have you sought out and joined a club or two? And how did you do that? And has it been a tax on your time?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course. I have joined a bunch. Now, I've made the mistake that I think a lot of college freshmen do is you overexert yourself, almost like how you did in high school. Back in the day, I'd be able to join like 5-10 clubs and it would be no big deal. But I quickly realized that in college, even having 1 or 2 clubs is more than enough, especially because with the intense academic workload that you have, you just don't have the time to dedicate yourself to as much stuff that you did in high school. So that's definitely a lesson that I would take and advise to upcoming seniors and freshmen. I would say I actually found this interesting. A lot of the clubs on our campus are super, super competitive to get into. Application like rounds and rounds and rounds. It's actually insane. The most popular ones are the finance clubs that we have. Some of them have like it's like a 3% acceptance rate. It's kind of crazy.
Wow.
But they make you fill out a Google form. You have a couple short answer response questions. You get selected for those. Then you have like an essay round. Then you get selected. You have a Zoom interview round. And then for some of the more intensive investing ones, they make you do case studies and prepare PowerPoint presentations, almost like you actually would in a private equity job. And they're making college freshmen do this. 18-year-olds make these elaborate presentations, present to the executive board of the clubs. And if they like you, then you're invited to a social dinner, and the social a networking event, and they like judge whether they like you as a person. It's a very complicated process.
Welcome to Princeton University.
Oh my God.
Wow.
I don't think they're the only school that does that though, Mark. That's the sad thing.
I know.
Yeah, no, definitely not. I think it doesn't come down to the name of the college. I think it comes down to the type of club, and the types of clubs largely dictate their application processes. And a lot of people, like, if they got rejected from these clubs, they would be so super sad. Like, oh my gosh, I didn't get in. How am I supposed to how am I supposed to make it big in finance? How am I supposed to network? But the truth is that you have hundreds and hundreds of more opportunities to meet amazing people. And that doesn't necessarily have to be through that one club. We have a lot of open clubs as well, where you just sign in and you get in and you can attend events and meet people. It doesn't come down to like the title that you have or like the name of the particular organization that you're a part of. But I think what's far more important is making friends with people who you genuinely think, one, they'll help expand your network, but anyone that you meet will help with that. But two, people that you genuinely like to hang around with, because if you enjoy their presence, then you can like take that and perhaps build a business out of it, or they could potentially become your investing partner in the future. Now, I'm just using finance examples because that's one of the most competitive clubs at our university, and that's the parallel that I make. But the bottom line is, it doesn't come down to the club, it comes down to the people. So if you can meet those same people at a dinner event or at a residential college event, you're still gaining the same benefits. So it's a win-win situation either way, whether you're in the club or whether you're not. Don't stress it.
Awesome. I think that's so important. And as we wind down on time, I would love it if we could each maybe share one piece of advice, either to rising seniors that are starting the college application process right now, or to the seniors that are about to start their first year of college. What is one piece of advice that you would give that, or share something that you wish you'd known before either process? Kevin, why don't we start with you?
Yeah, for me, I guess it's not really related to like college admission or anything. I'd say it's more just like stay more in the moment and like enjoy what you have going on like in high school and all of that, because I feel like I kind of like just threw myself into college like admissions and like spent a lot of time on it and worked really hard. And I kind of wish I just enjoyed my senior year a little more. I mean, like senior spring, I relaxed a little and enjoyed, but like since you only have like one senior year of high school, I guess just enjoy that and like enjoy your senior summer and like don't try and like put too much pressure on like getting into the right college, I think.
How about you, Sarah?
I would say definitely talk with students at the universities that you're planning to apply to, have already applied to, or are planning to attend. Just yesterday, I was on call with a rising freshman at Princeton, and there's just so much advice that someone who's already gone through the process and someone who's already at the university that they have to offer. They'll tell you a lot more than just what the admissions website says or what you see from the university social media accounts. They really give you the firsthand perspective of what it's like to live there and be there. And that'll give you a great estimate of, one, are you going to be happy there? Are you going to like it there? And two, would you accept if you were granted admission? So it's definitely helpful to talk to upperclassmen and students who are already there.
So how about you, Alana? Is there one particular point that you would want you to know last year? What would you say to yourself?
I think being a freshman in college, you meet a lot of new people. And I think that it's really important to try and not burn any bridges while you're a freshman, because you want to make as many friends as possible. You want to maintain as many friends as possible. It's really nice to have really tight circle of friends, but you got to think about like sometimes your really tight circle is going to be in class or have a club meeting or a different kind of thing that they're already having to go to, and having just acquaintances or other people who you are friendly with and able to just like go to dinner with or walk to a class with is like such a blessing. And I think it's really important to be able to just have someone who you know and be like, hey, like you want to go with me to XYZ, and just be able to expand your circle and not close yourself off. Because like in high school, it's really easy to be, okay, this is my friend group. I'm not going to have any other friends. In college, you meet new people every day. So keeping an open mind socially is really important, I'd say.
Awesome.
Options.
And then options are so important. And last but not least, Drew, what would you share? Your piece of advice?
Yeah, I would just say be curious and explore. I don't know. I kind of just did a bunch of random stuff my first year, just trying new things, going to, random club meetings, having dinner with people I never met before. I think just trying new things and having new experiences and just being able to explore and just be curious and just be down for whatever happens. I think that's a good thing to have. Just have that readiness to be curious and explore. I think that makes it pretty fun and entertaining when you just, have those experiences.
Awesome.
A lot of the students that we talk to after their first year, and what they really encourage is just relax, give it a rest. Don't make everything so critical and put all that stress and pressure on yourself. And I think each of you have kind of identified that, enjoy the moment for sure.
Well, I hope are you guys all excited for sophomore year? I'm guessing now that you have learned those lessons. I guess Alana, especially with the laundry, but are there any other specific lessons that you will definitely carry into sophomore year?
I mean, I've already been home for, I guess it's almost 2 months now, and I am so anxious I'm so excited to go back. I'm like getting antsy at home. I want to be at school. I want to be with my friends. Like I text my friends every day. I've never had friends on the other side of the country. It's really difficult. You don't realize like when you're at school and you see these people every day, you're like, okay, I can just go hang out with like this person right now. You're like 4,000 miles away from someone if they're like from Europe. Like I miss my friends so much. So, I mean, I want to go back to school, and I think like freshman year went by so quickly. So I think this coming year I should try and go out as much as possible, do as much as possible. And just like, cause it goes really quickly. And next year I'm going to be abroad for a semester, so I won't get the same experience. And I think that's something I should keep in mind.
Alana, you have to start that statement with, I love my family, but.
I do. I love being home with them, but it's like my family is like amazing, and I've spent 18 years of my life with them. So I think it's time for me to start adjusting to the other half of my life, if you know what I mean. Or hopefully not the other half, hopefully the other exactly. 3/4, but
awesome. That's wonderful. Well, thank you all so much for joining us today. I feel like this insight is going to be so helpful for our audience and for the students that listen in. And I hope you guys all enjoy the rest of your summer and get back to college soon and the lives you are thoroughly enjoying there.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you for having us.
thank you.
Thanks for listening to College Admissions with Mark and Anna, where we make getting into college easy and fun. Don't forget to go over to iTunes and subscribe to get updated each time we release a new episode. Also, for more helpful college admissions information, visit our website at www.collegeadmissionspodcast.com.